Everybody, how are we doing? Oh, great. So glad. Hi, guys. Hello. I'm Laura, if you don't know me. Hi, nice to see you guys. I'm so pumped. Every single one of you are here tonight, and I'm really excited to be here tonight, and I'm excited about the word we're about to unpack. But for those of you who've not been here before, we believe that this next part of our service is actually the most important part of the service, because this is where we're going to be looking at God's word, unpacking it, and figuring out how can we apply it to our lives. So before we go any further, I want to set some ground rules for us really quickly. I believe that you're here for a purpose, that God knows that you're here because he has something to say to you tonight. And he also has something to say to the person sitting next to you. He has these things for you to hear. That's the key, is that you got to be able to hear it. So my request to you is that if you are tempted to distract yourself, distract your neighbor, if there's something in your hands, put it on your seat, if you can just stay focused on what's going on up here on the stage, give me a thumbs up. Perfect. Love it. All the thumbs. Second thing is that, again, we believe that there are going to be some pretty important things said, unpacked in the room, and it's hard to be impacted by things said in the room if you're not. Wow, that was good, guys. Okay, so this is a terrible time to leave, so don't, because you're going to miss out on what God is trying to say to you tonight. So give me just the next 17-ish minutes of your time. I'll be respectful of your time if you're respectful of me up here on stage. When you do that, say, I got you. Amazing. Okay, so we have been in a series called Vice versus Virtue. Vices being bad habits, things that we want out of our lives. Virtues being things we can replace those vices with, good things that we do want. And we chose this series because, talking about habits, bad habits, habits are vital. They're important. And a habit may seem insignificant in the moment, but one day you look up and it's overtaken your life. And we saw this through lust a couple weeks ago. We talked about laziness last week. And tonight, we're going to be looking about how gossip, the vice of gossip, can just completely overtake our lives if we're not careful. And this one in particular, I'm excited about. And I think, in fact, I know it's important because many of you in here have told me it's important. Told me it's something that you struggle with. It's in your friend groups. It's in your schools. It is prevalent amongst many of us in here. And so I'm excited to unpack this with you tonight. So if you're taking notes, the title for tonight is going to be Gossip versus Restraint. Gossip versus restraint. You can write that down. And this main idea that we're going to be unpacking, I'm going to read it to you. It'll be on the screen behind me. It's this. If you claim to love God, that means you must love his people. But if we're honest with ourselves, the thoughts we have and the things we say about others when they're not around probably aren't very loving. Listen to this. If you want to be someone who wins others for Christ, you cannot simultaneously proclaim the good news of the gospel while spreading bad or false news about others. As Christ followers, we should be known for the ways we love and encourage others with our words and not stand for gossip and slander. So when I was prepping for this message, unfortunately, I had a plethora of stories I could have picked from of instances where gossip has affected my life, whether I was the one gossiping and it got me into trouble, or maybe someone was saying something not so nice about me. But the story that came to mind was kind of one of my first run-ins with gossip that I can remember. I was in 6th grade, and I got invited to a birthday party. And it was one of those birthday parties where you go to the party, but then there's like a secret sleepover happening after that not everybody is invited to. I was invited to the super secret sleepover. So what had to happen was I had to get to this party early, put my stuff upstairs under the bed, in the closet, whatever, so the other girls didn't see. And then after all the other girls had left, the sleepover things could commence, and we'd have a sleepover, and supposedly nobody else was supposed to know about it. So I show up, and I realize one of our friends in our friend group was not invited to the sleepover portion, which I thought was kind of weird, but moms are weird about how many kids can spend the night at their house sometimes. So I didn't really think anything of it. So the party's dwindling down, people are leaving, and this one friend who wasn't invited is kind of lingering. I can kind of tell she knows there's a sleepover happening. She's not invited. But she finally leaves, and right as she leaves, the rest of my friends start totally bad-mouthing her, talking about what she was wearing, making fun of the gift that she got my friend, asking why we're even friends with her, she's so annoying, saying all of these things. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that they felt this way about her. I thought we were all like just one big friend group and things were great. I knew what was going on was wrong, but I didn't really know what to do, so I didn't do anything. I just kind of sat and listened, questioned to myself, I don't know why they're saying these things, but this is weird. And then we get back to school later that week, and she finds out that there was, in fact, a super top secret sleepover happening, and it gets spread around the things that were said about her at the sleepover. And even though I was not an active participant in the gossiping, I was still a listening participant, which made me a participant nonetheless. And in fact, that kind of made it worse, the fact that I didn't say anything. She came to me and she's like, you didn't say anything? You didn't stand up for me? You didn't tell them that the stuff they're saying are lies? And I didn't. And at the end of the day, it completely ruined our friendship. We were like kind of friends after that, but it was obviously never the same. And she never trusted me after that. And it was a really sad, hurtful situation. She was hurt because of what happened. I was hurt because I lost my friend. And I think a lot of us in here can probably think of stories similar to the one I just told, whether you were on the receiving end of being hurt by gossip, or maybe you were dishing out some gossip and it got you into trouble. But I think on a moral level, we can all agree that gossip is bad and we should restrain from doing it. Let me give you some reasons. We see that gossip destroys relationships, while restraint builds community. Gossip causes strife, while restraint keeps peace. Gossip ruins reputations, and restraint allows you to have a platform to love others like Christ. Gossip gives a false sense of connection, while restraint allows for real relationships to form. Gossip brings death, but restraint brings life. And a lot of the things on this list, you can read it and think to yourself, you know what, yeah, I feel that, because I've actually felt that, right? I've felt these effects in my life because of what gossip has done to me. So why does it still seem to run rampant in our schools, on our teams, in our friend groups, in our homes? It's something that we know is destructive, yet we find ourselves tangled in it over and over again, which is why we're going to spend some time unpacking it tonight. We're going to look at the cause, cost, and cure for gossip. So let's start with what causes gossip. What is this cause of gossip? We see in Matthew 15, verses 18 through 19, it says this: "But the words you speak come from the heart. That's what defiles you. For from the heart comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, all sexual immorality, theft, lying, and slander. These are what defile you." And that the root of gossip is a heart problem, right? Because what we say comes from the heart, therefore a gossip problem is a heart problem as to the way that you view yourself and the way that you view other people. What do I mean by that? The way you view yourself, it's insecurity, right? I'm insecure about what's going on in my life, about my flaws, so let me gossip and deflect the attention onto somebody else and what's going on in their lives. It's focusing on other people's misfortunes, whether they're true or not. Oh, well, at least that didn't happen to me. Or, oh, well, did you hear about what so-and-so did? I would never do that, right? It's turning the attention off of us on to others because we're not secure in who we are. It also gives us an ego boost, right? We like whenever we have that juicy tidbit about somebody, everybody leans in because they want to hear what you're about to say. It feels good when you have information that other people want. And we do it because we're insecure in other areas, and this is going to boost our ego, right? It also is a heart issue on how we view other people. We see gossip as a source of entertainment. The Bible describes gossip as delicious morsels that are hard for us to resist. We get bored. And we want to entertain ourselves by snacking on the shameful stories of other people's lives. But if you find yourself, this is something you can't get enough of, you love knowing like all the tea, all the drama, you need to know it all the time, that points to an issue in the ways that you view other people. Because for you, it might just be a little gossip session, but for them, that's their life. For you, it might just be hearing little whispers here and there, but for them, is they're having to endure whatever it is you're talking about day in, day out, and they feel the pain and the hurt and the harm that comes from whatever it is happening in their situation. And you talking bad about it behind their back is not helping them in any way at all. We see them as entertainment instead of actual people going through problems. And we have excuses, right? I'm sure a lot of you in here would say, okay, but I'm not like maliciously making things up about people and spreading rumors, right? I like to be in the know. I like to know what's going on with people around me. Well, that's just as bad, right? A listening participant in gossip is a participant nonetheless. We use the excuse of, okay, well, I just needed some advice. And in order to get, the full advice I need, I got to paint the whole picture, say all the gory details of whatever the situation is about somebody else to my friend so I can get advice. I'm like seeking wise counsel. Like, aren't I supposed to do that? Yes, you're supposed to do that. That's a great thing to do. But newsflash, your wise counsel probably isn't your BFF who just wants to hear all the juicy details of whatever it is you're about to tell them. It's going to be someone who's older than you, probably in a few life stages ahead of you, who is wise, who's going to tell you what you need to hear instead of affirming whatever it is you already think about that person or the situation. And if I said some things that kind of like hit you, like right here, don't worry, because it hit me too as I was prepping for this message. We're not alone in this. We've all experienced this. We've all fallen victim to gossip at one point or another. So we know the cause. Let's look at the cost of gossip. We see in Proverbs 16, it says this: scoundrels create trouble. Their words are a destructive blaze. A troublemaker plants seeds of strife. Gossip separates the best of friends. So it looks at what is the cause of gossip. So we all have probably participated in one another. What is it costing us when we do it? Well, it costs us a lot of things. We're not going to unpack every single one of those things tonight. Here's just a few to name some. The first thing it's going to cost you is your friendships. Is that if you want to quickly destroy a team, a small group, a friend group, any group of people really, just start talking bad about people when they're not in the room. And that includes the leaders of these groups, your teachers, your coaches, your leaders, whoever it is. That verse we just read, it says it's a destructive blaze, our gossip is. It will quickly burn down anything good. Loose lips sink ships. Whether you're spreading malicious info on purpose or just sharing information that's simply not yours to share, it's going to cost you your friendships. And I didn't put this in here, but not only is it going to cost you your friendships, it's going to cost you real friendships. Because the Bible says a real friend is somebody that we can bear one another's burdens, and that I can tell you my stuff, you can tell me your stuff, and we're going to carry it together, walk through it together, because that's what a true friend does. But if I'm constantly gossiping, you're constantly gossiping, I can't trust you. How do I know you're not going to turn around and go tell people what I just told you and vice versa? It's not a real friendship. You cannot truly be there for one another if there's a fear of being gossiped about at the end of the day. So that's the first thing, is you lose your friends. The second thing it costs you is your reputation. It costs you your reputation. Do you want to be known as someone with integrity, who encourages other people, sees the best in people, gives people the benefit of the doubt? Or someone who can't keep a secret, who can't keep anything confidential, judgmental, who has loose lips? If they're talking about that like that about their friend, how do you think they talk about you when you leave the room? That's not somebody you want to be known as, right? Not only does it ruin your reputation, but it ruins the reputations of others. I think that we have images of who a person is solely based off the things we hear about them. And how unfair is that? Is that we hear whispers about people, rumors about people, and then we think we know who they are, and they're not even there to defend themselves or show you who they really are. It ruins other people's reputations as well. The third thing it's going to cost you, this one's big, it's going to cost you your peace. Gossiping is going to cost you your peace. The amount of trouble you could save yourself from simply just not talking about other people, from minding your business, staying in your lane, is huge. You could save yourself so much headache from just not doing those things. There's a lot of things in this life to be stressed about. And the petty gossip and high school drama that you get yourself into from saying things you shouldn't say is not one of them. Have you heard people say, like, this is my life verse, I have a life verse? Well, if you don't have a life verse, here's a great contender for you. It's 1 Peter 3:10-11. It says this: if you want to enjoy life and see many happy days, keep your tongue from speaking evil and your lips from telling lies. Turn away from evil and do good. Search for peace and work to maintain it. Does what I spend my time talking about warrant a life of peace? And the last thing gossip is going to cost you is going to cost you your time. And that time spent gossiping is time ill wasted. And that when I'm so obsessed about the details about somebody else, I could be focused on fixing the things I don't like about myself. And that the drama that gossip brings into friend groups, into our lives, is such a waste of time. Y'all, you only get to do high school and junior high one time. What do you want to remember? The drama? Or do you want to remember the real life-giving friendships? Do you want to remember the fun you had? Do you want to remember living a life that honored God and led people to Him? I think all of us would probably say the latter, right? That's what we want. So if that's what we want, what do we need to do as a result? So we looked at what's going to cost us. Now let's check out what is the cure. The cure for gossip. We see in Ephesians 4, it says this: do not use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to each other, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. What's the cure for gossip? I've got 3 little subpoints, 3 R's, if you will. They're 3 little points. They start with the letter R. It'll be easy for you to remember. The first R of the cure to gossip is we have to retrain the way we see others. Retrain the ways you see others. And that if somebody came up to you and started totally bad-mouthing your sister or your mom or your friend, someone you really care about, you would not stand for that, right? You would totally shut that down immediately. Why? Because you care for that person. And if we love God like we claim to, that means we love the things He cares about, and He cares about people. So why do we let other people talk trash about the things God cares about, His people? We have to retrain the ways we see them the way that God sees them. Whether it's a celebrity or the kid in your class, they're a person. See them as a person before you prey on their problems for your personal gain. Ask yourself, is what I'm about to say a reflection of how God sees this person? Because like in the verse we just said, it says that we're supposed to be kind, tenderhearted, forgiving one another. Why? Because that's how God sees us. That's how He is with us. The second R is replace. So we have to replace judgmental thoughts and comments. And that we've been talking a lot about habits these past few weeks, and a habit starts with your thoughts. And that if you constantly find yourself thinking a lot of judgmental things about people, that's a good sign. This might be something that you struggle with. And so when you feel those thoughts creep in, you get the itch to talk bad about somebody, think of 3 nice things about them. Replace that thought with something different. In that verse we just read, it says to get rid of harsh words. Let everything you say be good, helpful, encouraging. In other words, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, right? Instead of talking bad about other people, what if we loved the people right in front of us? Instead of focusing on people that aren't even there, there's someone right in front of you that you can love and be a friend to in that moment. Be people known for the ways you build those around you up instead of tearing those who aren't around down. And the last one is that you got to remember who you are. Remember who you are, and that you are somebody who has a call on your life to make Christ known. That's huge. That's the biggest call anyone could ever have on their life, to make Christ known in this world. And we spend so much time distracted by other things, and gossip is a huge one of those. It's not to be in the popular crowd. It's not to always know the latest dish. It's so much bigger than that. And listen to this. You cannot be an ambassador of Christ while simultaneously talking bad about the people He died for. So you cannot be an ambassador of Christ and simultaneously talk bad about the people He died for. It just doesn't work. So remember that that's the call in your life. When you feel tempted to gossip, it's going to get in the way of that call. Make sure other people know that that's the call in your life. Cultivate yourself as a person who people don't even want to gossip to because they know you're not even going to receive it. Be somebody that is known for, oh, we can't talk to her about that because she's like not going to take that in. If somebody comes to you with gossip, here's a little practical thing. They're talking about somebody else. Say, okay, interesting. What did you say what did they say when you told them that? And they're going to say, obviously I did not tell them that. Why would I do that? Oh, well, then you probably shouldn't be saying it to me. It sounds harsh. It sounds scary to do, especially with our friends. But I'm telling you, it's the most loving thing you could do for that person. Warn them about what sin can do in our lives. It's the most loving thing you could do. And it's important for us to do, right? Because if you come across a friend who's not down to stop gossiping, Proverbs 20:19, it literally says, do not associate with the gossip. That's how serious it is. That's how much God knows how destructive it can be in our lives. Because our words are powerful. So I'd love for this room to be full of people who use that power for good instead of being a part of a world that uses it for such destruction. But tonight I want to let you in a little secret. If you want to know the real gossip, the tea, lean in close. The most shocking news in the world is that God loves you. And that he loves you. But Lord, you don't know what I've done. How could he love me? Doesn't matter. Because Christ is better at saving us than you are at sinning. And he did that. He saved you. He came, lived a perfect life because he wanted a relationship with you. So he died on the cross for me and you because of our sin. So we could have a relationship with him and be in heaven with him forever.